The NBA is officially terrified of the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs are currently on a 9-1 stretch in their last 10 games, and they're also on a 3-game winning streak.
A three will tie it, and hand off to Luka, back to Exxon! Got it!
And when you watch the Dallas Mavericks out there, it's pretty clear that things are finally coming together and they're figuring things out on both sides of the court. And in my opinion, based upon the talent they have on the roster and also based upon the fact that they're finally starting to get things together, I think the NBA is terrified about what this team could potentially be once it comes down to playoff time. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. When the Dallas Mavericks originally acquired Kyrie Irving, I was definitely hesitant. Although Kyrie had all the talent in the world, there definitely was a lot of baggage that came alongside with his name. And even besides that, when you talk about on-the-court performance, you have Luka, Doncic, and Kyrie on the same team. And although both of those guys are obviously extremely talented, at the end of the day, both of them need the ball in their hands to be effective. So I thought it would definitely be a difficult fit between those two guys, and I didn't necessarily think the Mavs would have all that much playoff success due to that factor. And I think based upon what we've seen so far, that definitely held up to be true, as the Mavs definitely did struggle in the playoffs with those two, and they also struggled at times during the regular season as well. Now obviously injuries did play a huge factor to that, but at the end of the day, I still think there were legitimate concerns about the pairing and about the fit between those two guys. But when you fast forward to what the Mavs are currently doing at this point, it's pretty clear that both Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic have figured things out, and the Mavs are playing some of their best basketball that they've ever had ever since acquiring Kyrie Irving. So a question that some of you may be wondering at this point is why? Why are the Mavs playing so well as of late? Well, I think it comes down to a couple different factors, but the first and most obvious factor has to be the talent level. Because when you look at this Mavs team, it's clear from top to bottom, they have a lot of talent. Of course, you talk about at the top, you have Luka Doncic. Luka has been a guy who ever since he came to the NBA has been extremely successful. Of course, he has a phenomenal ability to score the basketball from all three levels, but he also does a tremendous job at facilitating for his teammates and just making his teammates' lives that much easier. But now besides Luka, they also have Kyrie Irving, who's been an extremely successful scorer in the NBA. In my personal opinion, I've always thought that Kyrie was the most talented scorer really in the entire NBA. The way he's able to score from that 3-point range, that mid-range, or especially finishing around the basket is just incredible to watch. And if Kyrie really starts to get it going in a certain game, he's essentially unstoppable. But even besides those two guys, they also have PJ Washington, who is a mid-season addition who's turned out to be pretty good for them, Derek Lively, Tim Hardaway Jr., Daniel Gafford. There's just a lot of different players on this roster that do a really nice job at complementing what the Mavs have at the top in both Kyrie and Luka. So I definitely do think the talent is a huge reason for why the Mavs have been playing so well as of late. But another factor that I want to touch upon for why the Mavs have been playing so well as of late has to be due to their chemistry. Because when you look at what the Mavs were able to do earlier on in the season, and really ever since they acquired Kyrie Irving, although they definitely did have some games of brilliance where both Kyrie and Luka played extremely well and the Mavs played really well as a team, I always thought they were dealing with consistency issues. And a huge reason for why that was, of course, A, is injuries, but also B, is due to chemistry. But when you look at what the Mavs are able to do currently at this point, they've done a really nice job at being a lot more consistent and just being consistently dominant no matter what team they end up going up against. And I think this is something that's extremely important and is a huge reason for why they've been able to play so well as of late. And I think going into the playoffs, if the Mavs continue to have this type of chemistry, I do think they're going to be a very dangerous team. Because when you look around the NBA this season at some of the better teams, or even in the past when you talk about some championship winners, one thing that all those teams have in common is they have great chemistry. Because for example, when you look at the Boston Celtics this season, a huge reason besides their talent level for why they've been able to be so successful has to be due to their chemistry. When you just watch them out there, the ball moves freely on the offensive side. On the defensive side, they do a great job at communicating and rotating over, and overall all that comes down to chemistry. So I definitely do think chemistry is a huge factor, and I think if you want to win an NBA championship or have any level of success, it's something that's extremely important. And the fact that we have been seeing a lot more of it from the Dallas Mavericks as of late is a huge reason for why, in my opinion, they've been playing so well. But another factor for why I think the Mavs are playing such great basketball as of late has to be due to their coaching. Because when you look at their offense, the Mavs have been doing a really nice job. They've been running the pick and roll offense to perfection because it can get you a lot of different open looks for a lot of different players out there on the court, and I think the guys the Mavs have currently on the roster have a really good understanding of what they need to do in that specific offense. Because when you look at this Mavs team, they have a lot of different players that can be involved in a pick and roll offense and be very effective at it. Of course, they have Luka, Doncic, or Kyrie Irving that can be the ball handler in that, and they also have Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively that can be the pick and roll guy. So when you have that many different options out there, it makes it very easy to run that offense both in your starting lineup but also with your bench unit. And I think specifically the pick and roll has done a great job at opening up a lot of things for this Mavs roster, because not only can Luka or Kyrie get open looks that way, but also they can throw it to the lob man, they can kick out to the corner for a wide open three, or even kick out to the top of the key for a wide open look as well. And I just think that offense has really opened up a lot for Dallas. But even besides their great offense, the Mavs have also been playing a lot better defensively as well, as both Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively have done a great job at locking down the paint, and a lot of their other guys have been doing a good enough job at playing defensively and playing as a unit. And I do think when you talk about this Mavs team, they're playing really well on both sides of the court. And when you talk about a team that's playing really well on both sides of the court, and they also have the type of talent that this team does have in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, I do think they're going to be a very dangerous team, and I think that's a huge reason for why they've been playing really well as of late. Now, another question that some of you may be wondering at this point is, what are my expectations for the Mavs once it comes down to playoff time? Well, in my opinion, I definitely think I have higher expectations for them. Because although they didn't have the best season last year, and although they didn't have the best start to the season this year, at the end of the day, they have both Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and they do have a lot of talent around them that fits in very nicely. So once it comes down to playoff time, I would fully expect these guys to make it past the first round, maybe even make it past the second round, and see where they can go from there. Because although on one hand you could say the Mavs aren't necessarily ready, and maybe they need to add some more players on the roster in order to be legitimate championship contenders, at the end of the day, they do have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Those two guys are two legitimate superstar players that could put up 40 or even 50 in any given playoff game. So at the end of the day, I do think my expectations for the Mavs would be to make it past the second round, and anything less than that would be a little bit of a disappointment in my opinion. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening for this Mavs roster, but I will say I am extremely excited to see what does. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What are your personal expectations for this Mavs roster? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these two videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.